Hello and welcome to UAS Magazine's panel preview podcast series. I'm your host, Dayna Bastian. The UAS Summit Expo is coming up October 4th through the 5th in Grand Forks, North Dakota. Today, I am excited to be joined by a longtime speaker at the summit. This year, he is moderating a panel titled Starting Up in North Dakota, a live case study, which is very fitting as he has been a part of North Dakota's journey in the UAS sector for the past decade. It is my pleasure to welcome Nick Flom, Specialist Leader for Deloitte Consulting. Welcome, Nick. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely, and thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure. Well, Nick, let's just jump right in. You've been a part of the UAS industry for the past 10 years. Can you share with our listeners a bit about your background and how you ended up being a Specialist Leader at Deloitte Consulting?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, North Dakota has been very good to me over the years. Having an opportunity to really be at the ground floor as a lot of the big momentum was taking place in the UAS space. Yeah, going back almost a decade now. Through that time, we saw a lot of investments and strategically, with the state and some pretty major selections, competitive selections. First starting out with the UAS test site program that the FAA put out for a competitive bid back in 2013, then being able to lead the state's effort for the FAA's UAS integration pilot program, back in it was like 2017, kind of 2018 time period. And, eventually, leading into a fairly significant investment into the UAS network, Vantis, that I was able to be a part of. And really all of those things, have been a fairly significant part of my journey in the UAS space. And about a year ago, I had the opportunity to take what was a state-led initiative and, have a little bit more of a national presence and an opportunity by joining Deloitte as part of their drone team. And that's where I've been for the last year.
Yeah, I remember getting your email last year saying, hey, I'm going to be moving on. So, we are excited and for this opportunity for you, and we're excited to have you back here on the UAS Summit stage. So let's chat a little bit about that panel that you're moderating at the UAS Summit Expo on October 4th. Who's participating on the panel and how do they all fit into the UAS ecosystem in North Dakota?
Yeah, I think we've got an incredible kind of cross-section, panel with really trying to show that, North Dakota is from the top down, from the state level, we're unique. We've got an incredible ecosystem that wasn't just happenstance, is very intentional. And part of that starts, at the state level. And we have Brian Opp through the Department of Commerce who will be joining us. And Brian brings an incredible. I've actually had a great opportunity to work with Brian through his first stint with Commerce as we were really trying to build out that ecosystem again, going back almost a decade. And then, great to see him back in action, supporting this industry because he plays a really key role of, what does it mean for the state to make this investment? How do we attract from an economic development standpoint to make sure that we can bring in different companies to support the UAS ecosystem. So, we get to see from the state level, what does that look like? We get to take that down to obviously a position I'm well familiar with Trevor Woods, the executive director of the Northern Plains UAS test site, being on the panel. And that ends up being, at that state level through Commerce, one of those strategic initiatives, the funding of a UAS test site that's been able to support everything from our federal partners like the FAA, NASA, Department of Homeland Security, to private industry, and really being able to be that storefront for the research and development and testing that's being done in the state, in that direct path to commercialization where we can keep people around for the long term. And that commercialization component, I think, is one of those really key elements for that makes the state of North Dakota really stand out. And, we've got Matt Dunleavy, representing Skyscopes, is one of those initial operators within the state supporting the UAS industry. Perfect example of, that entrepreneurial spirit of North Dakota, seeing an opportunity in an emerging space and taking advantage of that. And, we are a great incubator within the state for that. So it'd be great to get, Matt's perspective on this. And then we got Josh Reedy, which brings a very different kind of angle on things with his company Thread, who will be really representing that tech component of the autonomy, ecosystem. So not an operator, but somebody who's, making the impact of, supporting the industry. Very specific in the electric utility portion, inspections. How do we do things better, more efficiently, get that better data? Josh is an expert. His team's an expert on that. And again, this is homegrown. This is stuff that's happened, opportunities, that entrepreneurial spirit with the support of the state, getting support from the Department of Commerce, getting support from the UAS test site, getting support from, other operators. We're going to be able to see, companies like Thread be able to grow within North Dakota. And then, it's great that we're able to do so much stuff internally within the state, but bringing in Frank Mattis from Thales really brings in a little bit of that different perspective. Here you have a nationally known company, worldwide for that matter, doing business and supporting the state of North Dakota. So this isn't always just about, the startups and, that entrepreneurial spirit, but it's also, what does this mean for the rest of industry? And really Thales being able to represent North Dakota is a great place for, generally people who have already have a pretty significant presence, maybe in a different location, being able to look at North Dakota as a place of opportunity where they can come in. So it's a incredible, panel that we've been able to put together. And I think we're going to have a great discussion around, what it means to start and grow right here in North Dakota, and why other states should be looking at that as a blueprint of the types of investments they can make in order to grow this type of ecosystem.
Absolutely. I'm very excited for this panel too, and to see everyone on the same stage at the same time. I know sometimes you guys are traveling across the world, so it'd be nice to have everyone on the same stage at the same time. So you kind of hinted a little bit about what are some of the topics that attendees can expect to learn. But are there any specific things that make North Dakota unique that you're going to be talking about on the stage?
Well, I think that, again, Dayna, one of the things that we talked about is we're not new to this in North Dakota. This isn't like a new initiative that's just kickstarting. We have, a decade plus, under our belt this far. But that's actually fairly unique across the country. There's a lot of, other states that are looking at, making investments into this space. They're seeing what this type of emerging technology can do for their states. And a lot of them don't know where to start. They don't know where to benchmark themselves. And, really being able to, in what kind of lessons learned, for some of these, it could be a local government, state government, tribal government, it kind of doesn't matter. But those that are looking to make that type of investment or understand, what has been a unique aspect for growing the business in North Dakota, I think that this is a really great opportunity to see the, not only just the successes, because, I'd love to talk on the panel about, what makes this challenging? What makes it challenging, to do things in North Dakota? But, most businesses don't want to be confined to one geographic border. They want to be able to expand across the country. That was a big vision, even within Vantage from a UAS network standpoint. It doesn't work if it's just a single network only that works in North Dakota. This has to be able to grow broader than that. and from an industry standpoint, that's what's going to be success with UAS is if we can get it beyond, even just the state borders of North Dakota. So I think this will be a great opportunity to see what it takes in order to, really make this spread across the country, even more.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that there's no better showcase. Obviously, we're a little biased, seeing as we're located here in Grand Forks. So I think that this is going to be a great panel, and we're very excited for it. To our listeners, if you're able to join us for the UAS Summit Expo, this panel is going to take place at 4 p.m. on October 4th on Tuesday. So thank you, Nick, for sharing with our listeners kind of what attendees can expect to learn from the panel. We are nearing the end of our time here today, but I do like to end our podcast with a bit of a fun question. So Nick, I do happen to know that you are an avid runner. What is your favorite course you've raced in?
I have to have two answers. The fact that the Grand Forks put together a marathon a couple of years ago and being able to run the streets of, the town that you live in and being supported by everyone is incredible. But I have had the opportunity to run the Boston Marathon. It's the oldest marathon in the United States. It's kind of one of those epic things for us amateur type runners. So, getting the chance to run in Boston, that's probably the highlight of my running career.
That's awesome. Well, I have to say, I'm probably a lot more amateur of a runner than you. It's like watching Phoebe from Friends run, to be honest. So, truthfully, I won't be running any marathons anytime soon, but I'll cheer everyone on from a distance. Well,
it's much appreciated. But, when you're ready, let me know.
All right. Sounds good. If I get to that point someday, I'll shoot you a text.
Perfect.
Well, thanks again for joining us today, Nick. We look forward to seeing you at the UAS Summit Expo soon.
Can't wait to be there.
Great. Thanks. And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in. And until next time.